JazTime.com, and today we'll be doing a comparison between the Rolex Deepsea here on my left, reference number 116660, and we'll be comparing it against the newly released Rolex Sea Dollar 50th Anniversary Edition from the Bezels World 2017 show, reference number 126600. We'll be going over the price, the dials, bezel, case, crowns, bracelets, clasp, and we'll talk about the movements towards the end of the video. Alright, so as of September 2017, you can get the Rolex Deepsea from an authorized Rolex retailer for $12,050, or you can come to JazTime.com and get it for as low as $10,200. For the Rolex Sea Dollar, as this is a newly released watch, you can get this at a Rolex authorized dealer. However, there might be a wait list for this, for the retail pricing of $11,350. And as I have said, there might be a wait list. You can still get this watch at JazTime.com, however, for a little bit higher than the market value pricing of $13,600. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and compare the dials now. As you can see, both watches has very similar dial structures, as we have the maxi dial, which is the circular hour Rolex hour markers with the index 6 and 9 position, and a triangular 12 hour marker. They're coated, or rather they're fashioned 18 karat white gold, and they're luminous coated with a highly legible chromolite display, which is a long-lasting blue glow in the dark luminescence for up to about 8 hours or so, and both watches have that. Besides that, we have the similar hour and minute hand. We see it with the Mercedes hour hand and the just a similar very basic minute hand. Two noticeable differences here is we have the Cyclops lens on the newer edition Sea Dollar. As you can see here, there, Deepsea does not have a Cyclops lens on top of that sapphire crystal, whereas the Sea Dollar does. And then so you can see the Cyclops lens adds a little bit of magnification and easier viewing of that date. The reason being that Deepsea does not have that Cyclops lens, and the Cyclops lens on the Sea Dollar is actually a newer thing. The previous models of Sea Dollars did not have the Cyclops lens. Is that the crystal was a little bit, the crystal was too thick to add a Cyclops lens without being able to magnify it properly, and they recently overcame that with the Sea Dollar 50th Anniversary Edition. Okay. The next thing that's a little bit different is just the Sea Dollar name. As you can see, it's white on the Deepsea, but it's red on the 50th Anniversary Edition. And there is a reason behind that, as the 50th Anniversary Edition is trying to pay homage to the previous versions of the Sea Dollar, which is a reference number 1665, which is a 1967 Sea Dollar that had red text on the bottom there. So the Sea Dollar is paying homage to that. Alright, besides that, the only other thing that's different about the dial is the ring lock system on the Deepsea. And that's in part helps with the Helium escape valve, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Besides that, moving on to the bezels now. The bezels, they're both similar, both pretty much the same bezel, which is a unidirectional rotatable 60-minute graduated scratch resistant Cerachrome, which is Rolex's version of a ceramic bezel, and the numerals and graduations they are platinum coated. Okay, so highly scratch resistant bezels. Also, the blackness of the bezel will stay throughout its lifetime and actually will not fade over time. So that's very nice feature. Moving on to the case now. The case sizes. The Deepsea is the largest of the case sizes of the Rolex line, being a 44 millimeter. So from my index finger to my thumb here, that's 44 millimeters in diameter. The Sea Dollar is second in line, being 43 millimeter. So index finger to my thumb here, 44 millimeter in diameter. They're both made out of the 904L steel, in-house made Rolex steel that has additional corrosion resistance and very nice shine to the steel. As you can see with this nice high polish on the side of the case, patterns very nicely with the high polish on the sides of the bracelet. As I mentioned before, we have the what's called the Helium escape valve, which is these little indentations on the side of the case. And what that's for is as these are sports to divers watches, when divers go really deep into the ocean and they come up, they have to be repressurized, so they can adjust the pressure as they come up from the deep sea levels. And in order to do that, they have to sit in a room filled with helium gas. That helium gas molecules are small enough to go into the watch itself and actually build up pressure inside. The older versions of these watches didn't have these helium escape valves, so that helium would not exit the watch quickly enough. So that would build up too much pressure in the watch and pop out the crystal from the watch itself. So that's when the helium escape valve was created. So once the helium pressure built up enough in the watch, it would actually open up and release some of that helium back out. Okay, and that's only for the extreme levels of diving, where they had to go very deep in the ocean and be repressurized again. Okay, besides that, moving on to the other side of the case, we have that same similar structure, where we have the high polish on the sides of the case as well. Of course, the Deepsea's crown is a little bit larger than the Sea Dollar crown, and that's due to the case size. As you can see, the overall profile, the Deepsea is a little bit larger than the Sea Dollar. Okay. All right. So moving on to the crowns now. Both crowns are protected by a crown protector, as you can see, nicely high polished as well. For the functions, I'll just go ahead and show you on the Deepsea. The functions of the crown are the same functions. Both are screw down, triple lock, triple waterproof in the systems, in which you can, as you can see, you can unwind counterclockwise, and that opens up to the crown to the first position. And in this first position, you're able to wind the watch from a dead stop 15 to 20 times. It will be enough to get the watch going again. A simple tug of the crown. Okay. Simple tug of the crown, sorry. There we go. Will allow you to adjust the date instantaneously, as shown. Going clockwise, you can see that date just changed very easily. And in the final tug of the crown to the final position, you'll see that the second hand will stop at this final position, and that allows for precise time settings, such as to an atomic clock online. You can set the watch down to the exact seconds. So very nice to have. As you can see, you can also adjust the hands bidirectionally as well. Once the crown is pressed nice and tight in against the case, you'll see that the second hand will start again, and you also keep your watch water resistance once the crown is all nice and tight into the case. Water resistance for both these watches are different. The Deepsea is the highest tier of water resistance. At the very bottom text, you'll see that it says 3,900 meters. Apologize here. Let me go ahead and move this minute hand out of the way. So 3,900 meters, or 12,800 feet. Okay. The Sea Dollar is less than that, and you'll see at the bottom text as well, it says it has a water resistance of 1,220 meters, or 4,000 feet. So this only has a fourth of the water resistance that the Deepsea does. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the bracelet now. For the bracelets, we have the same style bracelets, which are oyster bracelets, sports style, which means that it's just brushed steel sand finish throughout the whole bracelet, as you can see, all the way down to even the clasp and onto the other portion of the bracelet, nice and brushed steel. For the clasp, we have similar style clasps, which are folding oyster lock clasp. And I'll go ahead and show you what the Deepsea is first. So this is the Deepsea here in my hand. So that's the safety that pops off, and the folding oyster pops down. And then the Sea Dollar, same thing. Safety comes off, and then folding comes off, revealing the clasp blade. Difference in clasp blade here, we have the Deepsea has this sandblasted clasp blade with two high polished sides, whereas the Sea Dollar has fully high polished clasp blades. The sandblasted texture on the Deepseas, that one is actually not in production anymore. In 2016, Rolex has actually stopped doing the sandblasted sort of texture, and they moved on to strictly this high polish throughout the clasp blade. Okay, there are additional differences as well behind the clasp for adjusting a clasp. Specifically for this Deepsea in my hand, it has what's called the glide lock extension link, in which what you'll have to do is you'll pull the top of the clasp. You see these little rivets here that allows for 2 millimeter increment adjustments for the bracelet. up to 20 millimeters. So this is how it looks all the way out. Pressing the top of that clasp locks it back down, and then once again opens up. You can adjust it back to where you need it, and there you go. So that was made with divers in mind, so they can adjust to their wetsuits. But even for everyday use, that's actually also very good. Such as, you know, hot summer days when your wrist starts to swell up, and you don't want the watch, you don't want the bracelet to be choking out your wrist, so you can adjust it for more comfortability. Or even on cold days, you don't want the watch to be shaking around and such. You can adjust it a little bit tighter. I want to show you the seat rollers though, because it's a little bit different. Same type of feature, which we have the glide lock extension link. However, this one is simply you can just pull at a 45-degree angle, and you can already adjust it without having to pull the top of the clasp. As you can see, the rivets there, and you can just easily drag it across. So all the way out, one thing we'll notice is that we actually have what's called the flip lock extension links as well, which is these flat little links. Once again, keeping divers in mind to allow them to adjust to the wetsuits. And this adds an additional 26 millimeters of adjustment with these links all the way out. So in total, you can adjust the seat roller for up to 46 millimeters of adjustment from pulling the glide lock all the way out and using the flip lock all the way out as well. Whereas the Deepsea can only do that 20 millimeters adjustment with just a glide lock. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the movements now. So specifically for the movements, I want to go ahead and show you the Deepsea's casing first. As you can see, for the Deepsea's casing, we have sort of this monoblock middle case, the screw-down case back, the Rolex ring lock system case architecture with the Helium escape valve. Specifically for the back of the casing, you'll notice that it has sort of a darker gray area, and that's actually because that's grade 5 titanium, and that helps with the case achieve that water resistance of that 12,800 feet. You have the seat roller Deepsea name embossed on the back there, on that sort of the high polish, not high polish, but satin portion of that case backing. The movement specifically, we're looking at one of Rolex's tried and tested movements of over 10 years. It's the perpetual mechanical self-winding caliber 3135 movement. It is in superlative or COC certification, which is the precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day. Has the functions of the center, hour, minute, seconds hands with an instantaneous changing of the date and a rapid setting, and stopping at a second time for precise time setting, as I've shown you. The power reserve of the watch is approximately 48 hours, so you can put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Sunday evening, and it should be keeping time just fine. So the difference between the movements now, as you can see, the seat roller has just a very basic oyster case backing. It doesn't have that grade 5 titanium. It is still a professional diver's watch, but not as not as technologically advanced as the Deepsea in terms of diving when they're trying to achieve obviously by the name, the deepest they can go. So with this basic oyster case backing, we still have the same engraving of the Rolex Oyster seat roller name on the back of the case back on the high polish portion of the case back. The movement is a little bit different, however. It is the newest updated movement of that 3135 that the Deepsea has. The seat roller is using a 3235 movement, which is very similar to their Rolex's flagship model, the Day-Date President, which has a 3255 movement. But really the only difference between this movement and the Deepsea's movement is that they have added what's called the chronogy escapement, which is a skeletonized escape wheel made out of a nickel phosphorus alloy. The escape wheel itself is skeletonized, and it helps with the reduction of inertia for more energy efficient gain. And also the choice of the nickel phosphorus alloy helps with significant resistance to magnetism, so highly magnetic resistance, and pairing with that blue parachrome hairspring as well. This watch is highly anti-magnetic. And the last thing about this is that the power reserve has also been upgraded. Instead of that 48 hours you got on the Deepsea from the 3135 movement, you get a power reserve of 70 hours with the 3235 movement. So it's a step up, add an additional day, almost an additional day, so you can put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Monday evening, and it'll be keeping time just fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and show these watches on the wrist now. So let's start with the Deepseas first. Once again, safety foiling oyster, pop that open, pops open. fits on nice and easily. And there we are. There's the Deepsea. Very high profile, as you can see. It sits very high off the wrist. Probably wouldn't fit under suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely. It is still a very nice sports watch, as you can see there. Okay, let's go ahead and try the seat oil on now. So once again, safety folding oyster. Opens up nicely. Close that up, and there we are. And there's the seat oiler. Seat oiler is very nice. It doesn't sit too high on the wrists like the Deepsea. Still a bit high. I like the contrast of the red text on the seat oiler. Really adds a little light, little kind of focus for the eye. Nice, pops very nicely against that very basic dial. So here's two watches side by side. Alright, so if you're interested in this model or any other model for the lowest possible price, check out our website, JazTime.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed. We offer free shipping and a 1-year warranty. And if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video. Click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at JazTime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.